Hello, welcome everybody to Yoga Basics. My name is Michelle Chua. For this practice and for our future practices, you may want to have the following types of props, any objects that you can use like these that you have ready at home, such as a pillow. A long, firm pillow would work. It could also be a pillow that you sleep on. If you don't have a pillow, and I see some of you that are with us live have something like one of these foam roller type of things, this could function for what we're using it for today. You may want to have two blocks, like they are helpful when we're bowing forward and we're putting our hands down. And if the floor is too low, you could put your hands on the blocks and adjust the height of the blocks, because there's 3 different heights you could use. And if you don't have them, you can also bend your knees and put your hands on your thighs like this. Also, a blanket might be helpful, or a beach towel, and then a strap or some kind of rope-like object that you can use as an extension of your arms. Make the arms even longer. So with that being said, let's set up in a restorative yoga posture to begin with. Restorative yoga is yoga in which you are meant to relax and rest on objects that hold your body into the most comfortable position possible to help open it up and to invite stillness. So it's non-active yoga. So we're going to come into a posture that helps to just connect with our bodies, as well as open up the breath naturally by opening up the chest. So if you have 2 blocks, let's do this. Take one of the blocks on the medium height, if you can tilt it on low, medium, high. So go on the medium height, the second level, and place it at the rearmost edge of your mat. If you don't have blocks, don't worry, you can just use a pillow for this. The second block, place it on the lowest height, like this, and put it closer to you so the blocks are spaced apart, maybe about 6 inches. And then place your pillow across the 2 blocks. So now you've created an incline. So we're making basically a reclining chair to lean our backs on. Now, if you have a styrofoam roller, you don't need the blocks. You can just put the styrofoam roller to trace the midline of your mat on the ground. And then as you keep your pelvis on the floor like this, sit facing away from your pillow, and you can choose to have your legs either cross-legged or stretch the legs out. If you've got lower back tightness, you can roll up your blanket or use a second pillow and place that right underneath the backs of your knees so that they support a light bend in the knees and can feel more comfortable in the lower back. And then from here, start to rest back onto your objects that you've created to be a recliner on. And you'll want to adjust them so that, first of all, that you feel comfortable to be still in for a few minutes. Second of all, the purpose is to open up the chest and let the shoulders relax, move them down away from the neck. So make sure you're able to do that so you're not feeling hunched. You might have to adjust any of the blocks under. And then as you're resting back, rotate your arms at your shoulder sockets externally, which means roll the shoulders back and flip your palms to face upwards. And then rest the backs of your hands on the ground close to your legs. So in this way, it accentuates opening the fronts of the shoulders. If you sit at a computer for long periods of time, or drive a car quite a bit, or text quite a bit, you might find your shoulders rounding a lot. And one of the effects of that is making the breath more shallow, which affects so many other things. So here we're counteracting that. So make sure you feel a sense of symmetry. Do any little wiggle around that you need so your 2 hips can feel even and relaxed. Your feet feel relaxed. And if it helps to begin more aware, cultivate more awareness of your body, close your eyes. Settle in to stillness as you begin the practice. So just let the breath flow naturally. Stay on your restorative pose. I'm going to sit up so I can speak more clearly. And I want to share a few excerpts from our book club read for February. And you're all invited to join it too. It's free on Zoom. So this book is called The Secret Power of Yoga. And it's written by Nischala Joy Devi, and it's one of the first women's translations of the sacred or the ancient book called the Yoga Sutras. You've probably heard me reference the Yoga Sutras. It was written in the 2nd century, and it's basically one of the guidebooks of how to practice yoga. And this here is a woman's guide to the heart and spirit of the Yoga Sutras, though it's open, of course, inclusive to all genders. And I wanted to share the definition of yoga according to this translation. Yoga is the uniting of consciousness in the heart. Yoga is the uniting of consciousness in the heart. United in the heart, consciousness is steadied. Then we abide in our true nature. What's our true nature? Joy. At other times, we identify with the rays of consciousness, like the little tidbits of consciousness, which fluctuate and encourage our perceived suffering. At other times, we identify with the rays of consciousness, which fluctuate and encourage our perceived suffering. And then I'm going to read a small other part here where she talks about the purpose of the physical postures of yoga. And some of you who've been practicing quite a while know that there are 8 limbs or practices of yoga. And of those 8 limbs, one of the limbs is physical yoga. We'll go into the others another time. So what's the purpose of the physical practice? They're called asanas. The physical poses are called asanas. Asanas reintroduce us to our bodies. Once we become friends with the physical, going inward to the spiritual becomes easier. Yoga in its completeness is a way of life that allows for total transformation. Yoga in its completeness, like when you're practicing all 8 limbs of yoga, is a way of life that allows for total transformation. So food for thought. Though we spend much of our time here in this practice today on the physical, inherently we are working with our spirits and our minds and our breaths because we can't separate them. So let's begin to check in with these different layers of ourselves as you continue to rest in the position that you're in. So stay still. I'm just going to bring more awareness to what's here on our plate right now, or what's in your plate. So with your eyes still closed and as you're lying down, begin to scan your own physical body by using your imagination to notice what you feel in your feet, what sensations you feel in your ankles, in your legs. Taking your time to continue this on your own. So you're just noticing different parts of your body and any sensations you're experiencing in them right now. And the purpose of this is just to be aware. We're not trying to label anything that we observe as good or bad or as right or wrong. That's irrelevant. So as you continue observing your own body, notice how you're feeling generally physically right now. Just accepting what is for you. So that's the outermost layer of our being. Now let's go into a more subtle layer inward. Begin to notice the way that your body is naturally breathing. No need to change how you're breathing. Just observe it, how it feels. In the way that your body is breathing right now, notice how you're feeling energetically. So this is the energy layer. Now let's go another layer more subtle. Observe your mind. For the next few moments, simply pay attention to anything happening in your mind, what your mind focuses on, the kinds of thoughts that might pass through. Also pay attention to any emotions that you're feeling. So that now you're more attuned to your mental and emotional state, which is another layer inward. So again, without judging anything, just becoming more aware, please begin to deepen your breath. So inhaling a little slower through your nose. Notice where you feel the breath within your body. And exhaling a little slower through the lips. If you want, you can sigh it out and make a sound. Each new breath becoming a little bit deeper. Try to be gentle with the breath. Play if you feel the breath more in your chest. Play with inviting it to expand a little more into your stomach or into the sides of your rib cage or the back of your ribs. So notice other parts of your body where you don't feel the breath as much and see if you can invite a little more breath to move into there. It's said that breath itself is a vehicle for life force energy to circulate throughout your being. In yoga, life force energy is called prana. So notice how you are circulating prana by the way that you are now breathing. You might even start to feel a little differently or not. Just observe. So with all of the yoga practices that we do together, notice what your unique experience is in the moment. Because I can tell you the many benefits of different practices of yoga, but most importantly is how you directly experience it. So become curious with things that we do. And as you continue to deepen your breath, see if you can make a little sound like an audible whispering sound. And if it feels comfortable enough, see if you can do that with your lips closed. So now you're breathing very gently, a little ocean wave sound with the mouth closed, all through the nose. Now, as you keep doing that, use the sound as a way to keep your awareness in your body in the present moment. Because as many of us know, the nature of the mind is to jump around. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, remember when this happened? Constantly jumping into the past, into the future. So let's use the breath sort of as an anchor to connect our attention to the present moment by creating that sound and listening to that sound. And as you're doing that, please begin to slowly turn over onto your side so that you can push away whatever props were underneath your back and lie flat on the floor. We're going to continue lying down just a little bit longer. I'm going to do a little warm up here on the back. So once you're able to lie flat on the floor, slide your left leg straight onto the ground and bend your right knee into your chest. Take hold of your right thigh or your right shin, whatever's easier for you that allows your shoulders to stay relaxed on the ground. You don't have to lift your head. Now, this is a posture called wind relieving pose. So if you ever need to relieve some wind, here's one to try. In Sanskrit, this posture is called apanasana. So begin to bring the right thigh, if it's comfortable enough, closer to the right side of your belly, or you can give the right lower abdomen a gentle squeeze. There's the wind relieving part. And as we stay here, taking deep breaths through the nose, you might even begin to circle your right foot at the ankle, just giving a little stretch, going in both directions, breathing in, slowly breathing out. So we're also warming up our groins here, the inner thighs and the hamstrings for later. Few more breaths. Keep relaxing your shoulders onto the ground and away from your neck so the neck feels spacious. Remember, your neck is a huge passageway for your breath. So if we start to close off the neck or shrug the shoulders, we're kind of creating an obstacle to the breath. So open up the passageway. One more deep breath. And then slide your right leg forward on the floor and bend your left knee into your chest. Either hold the left thigh or the left shin, whatever is easier. So again, you can relax your head and shoulders on the ground. Breathe in like you're smelling something delicious. Long, savory breath. Breathe out and let the breath carry out with it anything that your body doesn't need anymore, even energetically, or thoughts that might be distracting. Give your left foot a few circles in both directions, just loosening up the ankle. We've got energy channels all throughout our bodies. It's said it's like 70,000 nadis. So nadis is energy channels in Sanskrit. And we've got quite a bit in our feet. So notice how you're feeling as you're circling your foot. A few more breaths here as you're gently bringing the left thigh, if possible, closer to your left lower belly. So you're giving it a little squeeze into your area of your colon. It's known in yoga, these kinds of postures where you're giving your belly compression of some sort, including spinal twists, that they help to promote digestive flow. They help to get energy moving in the digestion. Let's listen to 3 more really long breaths here. Can you match the length of your exhale as slowly as the length of your inhale? One more deep breath here and wind relieving pose. Now let's bend both knees into your chest and we're going to warm up the hip sockets a little bit more. Take hold of your bent knees with your hands and let's treat this like a vinyasa flow, which means breath-led movement. So lead with a breath, pace with a breath. As you breathe in, circle your thighs apart so they move away from the midline of your body. And as you breathe out, bring your knees back together. Inhale apart. Exhale together. Let it be that easy. Continue at your own pace of breath. And whenever you feel ready, switch it up. Go in the opposite direction. So we're basically just rotating your thigh bones in the hip sockets, which is a helpful way to warm up your hips and loosen up tension in the lower back if you have any there. You can also massage the lower back and the glutes on the ground as you're doing this. Let's give it another 3 full breaths. Nice, and then separate your thighs wide enough apart where you can keep your tailbone on the floor and your head and shoulders on the floor. Lift the soles of your feet up and parallel your feet to each other. Imagine the soles of your feet are holding up the ceiling And you could either hold your outer thighs like I'm doing and splay the thighs wider apart, or you could bring your arms inside of your legs and either hold your outer shins with your hands or your outer feet, gently pulling your feet down so that your knees bend wider apart and towards the ground. So we're opening up into the inner thighs. And by pressing your tailbone, head, and shoulders into the floor at the same time, you're protecting the length of your spine, especially the lower spine. So let's stay here in happy baby pose. You might remember this posture from when you were an infant lying in the crib. It's kind of a natural position to get into. For another 3 deep breaths. You can also give yourself a little massage by rocking side to side, splaying the feet a little wider if that feels comfortable, opens up the hips even more. One more long breath here. Now bring your hands to your outer thighs, and like you're closing a book, close your knees together into your chest and give your knees a big hug. Squeeze in, give yourself a big hug. A thank you for making it to your yoga practice today, whatever you had to do to be able to show up today. And then start to rock either side to side or forward and back, whatever feels good to you, a few times, so that by rocking, you can eventually rise all the way up to sit. And when you find a way to sit, if you notice that your back wants to round like this, like the shoulders want to dump forward, then grab something that you can elevate your pelvis on top of, whether it is a folded blanket, a pillow, or maybe 2 blocks side by side on the lowest height. So you have a wide bench to sit on. And make it as high as you need so that as you're sitting towards the front edge of it, your pelvic bowl slightly tilts forward. And then by activating your abdomen slightly, you can lift the spine a little taller. And voila, the breath can flow more easily again, right? The chest can open up again. The shoulders rolling down. Imagine that shish kebab, remember that I mentioned last class, that's connected, that string that's connected from the crown of your head all the way down each vertebra of your spine to your tailbone. And that we're pulling that string both up and down in both directions. So your spine feels a little taller. And then let the shoulders relax, let the face relax, and let the hands rest either on your lap or join your palms together at your heart. This is a gesture or a mudra that symbolizes both gratitude and union and honoring. So taking a moment to honor your practice. Anything can be a sacred act or sacred space with the intention that we put into it. Remembering that the yoga practice is not only addressing your physical body, but all your dimensions of well-being, spiritual, mental, emotional. So taking a moment to acknowledge that, and having already assessed what you're feeling in different layers of yourself, what would you like to invite into your experience by connecting with your mind, your body, your spirit, your breath? So take a moment now to clarify your intention for your yoga practice today. Whether it's to feel healthier in your body or to invite abundance in some area of your life. It can have to do with any aspect of your life. And as a way of not confining the outcome of your intention to one particular thing, we practice non-attachment by offering up our efforts, by choosing somebody else beyond our individual selves to dedicate our efforts to. So I invite you to think of someone that you care about, or a community, or a cause that's important to you that you might choose to dedicate this practice to today. And as a way of creating resonance, sharing our space together as we practice, I invite you to join me in chanting Om, the sound of our interconnectedness, 3 times. So let's inhale more deeply. Bowing into your heart center, an acknowledgement of your inner being, your inner guidance, your inner wisdom, as well as your body's wisdom. So remember that one size does not fit all, and that there are so many different ways to practice the different postures of yoga. If you're finding that one way that I'm explaining to you is not feeling appropriate in your body in the present moment, then either write on the chat box, is there another way to do this? Or I will try to offer different variations of different poses as we move along. And you can always ask, for those of you that are live afterwards, if you haven't found one, but also get creative with your props. That's why we have props, so we have more options too. Props are a wise use of, it's wise to use props when you need them, basically. So let's start moving. We'll get into a breathing technique, and then we'll get into some movement and go a little further with our sun salutations and other postures. So this breathing technique is called 3-part breath. In Sanskrit, it's called Durga Pranayama. Pranayama are the different breathing techniques that we use to affect our energy. There are many pranayamas. So pranayama is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. This breathing technique can also help to calm your nervous system. It can help you to become to feel more grounded. So it's a self-regulation tool for stress relief, but it can also help you to become more aware of the breath and how to expand your breath. So you're using the fuller capacity of your lungs when you're breathing. So it starts like this. Imagine that your torso from your pelvic floor to the bottom of your skull is a jar, and that jar goes all around. Now divide that jar into 3 parts. The first part, or the first cross section, is from your pelvic floor to about your belly button. So that includes your lower back, your lower belly, all this area. The second cross section, or the middle part, includes most of your rib cage, so all the way around like this. And then the third cross section, or the uppermost part, includes your chest, your neck, your shoulders, your upper back. Now, to delineate the bottom part, you might place your hands on your lower belly and your lower back. Now, inhale into just that bottom part, or imagine doing that. Inhale slowly. Hold the breath for as long as you comfortably can, and just notice how that feels to breathe into that lowest part of your torso. When you're ready, exhale slowly and gently through your nose. Then hold the breath out, keep sitting tall. Notice how it feels to empty the breath from there, and then relax. Now you might place your hands on the left and the right walls of your rib cage. So now we're going to focus on the middle part of the torso. Inhale slowly into there. Let the ribs stretch apart. Hold the breath in for a few seconds and notice how that feels, that fullness in the middle part of your torso. And then slowly through your nose, let it go. Hold the breath out, feel the contrast, and then again, relax the breath. Now place your hands at your chest and inhale into the uppermost part of your torso. Hold the breath in, relax the shoulders, relax the face. Notice how this feels. And when you're ready, exhale slowly and completely. Hold the breath out. Notice how that feels. And then once again, relax your breathing. So 3-part breathing goes like this. You might like to place one hand at your chest and one hand at your lower belly. First, we'll inhale into the lowest cross section of your torso, 1/3 of the breath. We'll pause. Then we'll inhale into the middle cross section, another third of the breath, and pause. Then we'll inhale into the uppermost cross section and hold the breath for a few seconds. And then we'll exhale everything very slowly out through the nose and hold the breath out for a few seconds. So that's one cycle. Let's try 3 cycles together and then 2 cycles on your own. 3-part breathing. So to prepare, empty this breath. Hold it out, sit tall and relax. Into the lowest part of your torso, inhale 1/3. Pause. Into the middle, inhale 1/3. Pause. Into the top, inhale the last third. Hold the breath, relax, and observe. Through your nose, exhale everything slowly. Hold the breath out. Second cycle. Inhale the first third. Pause. Inhale the second third. Pause. Inhale the last third. Hold the breath. Notice. Exhale everything slowly. Hold the breath out. Third cycle. Inhale the first third. Pause. Inhale the second third. Pause. Inhale the last third. Hold the breath. Exhale everything. Hold the breath. Now continue 2 more cycles on your own. Take your time to finish slowly at your pace. When you do finish, breathe naturally and notice how you're feeling. Now let's, without pausing, without holding the breath, let's feel the breath travel into all 3 parts and exit all 3 parts. So as you close the lips, if you can, continue to breathe just through the nose. Add this. See if you can softly narrow or constrict the back of your throat. so that as you're breathing through the nose, you start to create a very gentle, audible sound like a whisper. It's almost like you're snoring, but not strong like that. Very, very soft. Now, let's breathe into all three parts. Inhaling to the lowest, to the middle, to the top. Go at your own pace, so no holding the breath. When you get to the top, slowly empty through all three parts. As you're doing this, continue to create that whispering sound. Keep going, inhaling when you're ready. Try to feel and imagine the breath traveling into all three parts. When you're ready, exhaling the soft whispering sound out through all three parts. Keep going at your pace, just like this, and notice how you're feeling as you're doing this. What is the effect on your body? What is the effect on your mind and your emotional state? Even subtle. This is a tool to regulate your nervous system. So let's continue to use this tool. Now we're starting another breathing technique that's called Ujjayi Pranayama. This is the breathing technique we're going to use when we're moving our body and when we're holding postures or asanas. It translates as victorious breathing. So creating that soft sound like the ocean, very gentle ocean, rising and falling, serves, as I said before, as an anchor for your mind, as a way to connect your attention to the present moment and to your body. Especially if you find your attention going somewhere else, come back to the sound in your breath as a bridge back to the present moment, as many times as you need. So keep creating that sound. Try to make it really fluid and rhythmic and slow and steady. And we're going to move to that sound. Instead of turning on music, your breath is going to be your music. So let's come on down to our hands and knees. And we did this last week, which is a flexion and extension of the spine. If you like to have cushion for your knees, you can put a blanket under the knees. Set your hands flat on the floor, face down, so that your index fingers are pointing straight ahead or they're slightly turned out. So you don't want to point the index fingers at each other, because take a look at what happens to my shoulders when I do that. It rotates the shoulders inward and it blocks the flow of the breath. So you either point the index fingers forward or slightly turn them out to open the chest. Then stack your shoulders on top of your wrists. Spread the fingers really wide and flat. And then step your knees a couple inches behind your hips. So that will give your torso more space to move around. Now empty this breath. Begin to inhale as you begin to move your chest forward. Roll your shoulders back. And as you're lifting the chest and looking up, find the peak of the inhalation, the peak of the pose. Now, as you exhale, start to contract your abdomen. Slowly bow your head and tuck your tailbone so that when you're fully rounding the back like this, you've emptied the breath. So continue pacing your movement to the breath. Inhale the chest forward, roll the shoulders down, lift the heart, look up. This is cow pose. Exhale, press down with the hands. The arms stay straight, both directions. Contract the belly, round. This is cat pose. Take another 3 or so cycles of breath on your own. The inhale draws the chest forward. So you're stretching the front of your spine as you're looking up. And as you're contracting the belly and bowing your head, you're stretching the back of your spine. Notice how this feels for you. So the name of these two postures is cat-cow pose. And in Sanskrit, it's called Bidalasana. Bidalasana. Now, when you finish the next one, relax to a neutral spine. We're gonna activate our core muscles a bit. So imagine that your hands, instead of just resting on the floor, you're pushing the floor away. Notice the difference in your shoulders when you do that. So here's me just resting on the floor. It kind of causes my shoulders to shrug. Here's me pushing the floor away. So there's an alertness and there's space in the shoulder joint. So create space in the shoulder joint, push the floor away. This is what I mean when I say root down to rise up. You're rebounding your weight off the floor. Now, start to engage your abdomen. Draw the belly inward towards the spine, but without rounding the back. So we're not doing cat-cow. Try to create a flat back. So look on the floor just in front of your thumbs and lengthen the front of your neck and the back of your neck. So remember that shish kebab being pulled from the crown of your head? Feel the string being pulled towards the front wall, and out of your tailbone, feel the string being pulled towards the back wall. Now, keep your two hips, your right hip and your left hip, balanced in height. So not one hip goes up or the other, right? So keep them balanced and start to lift the right foot straight behind you. So imagine that your right foot is pushing into the back wall. Make the leg feel awake and active. Spread your right toes and curl your right toes towards your right shin, like you're really pushing into the wall with the heel of your foot. Now lift the belly, engage the belly, and try to bring your pelvis towards the center line of your mat. Because if you lift the right leg, sometimes the pelvis wants to move to the left to compensate. If that has happened, like a typewriter, bring the typewriter back to the center. And now push the floor away with your hands. Rebound your weight. Now, if your balance feels pretty stable, you don't have to do this, but if it feels stable, start to raise your left arm forward like you're about to shake my hand from the screen here. That's in front of your head. And as you raise the left arm, if you're doing that, push the floor away with the right hand, press into the imaginary wall with the right foot, and breathe. Can you still hear your ocean sound breath? Inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply. Keep looking at the floor at the same spot where you could lengthen your neck, and try to relax both of your shoulders down your back, lifting through the belly here. Get long to your left hand, to your right foot, through the center of your spine. One more breath. Place the left hand down, keep reaching. Now as you breathe out, push down with your hands and bend your right knee towards your chin. Try to lift the knee towards your chin and then step your right foot forward beside your right thumb. Now, if your foot didn't come all the way forward, use your right hand, grab your right ankle, and bring your foot forward enough so that your right knee is right on top of your right heel. When we come into a lunge, we have a lot of yoga poses that are like lunges. You don't want to have this front knee in front of the heel like this, as that can put a lot of pressure in the knee joint. So you want to just have the knee right on top of the heel. And here's where the blocks can be helpful, or your toilet paper rolls if you don't have blocks. You can also put your hands on blocks, and remember that you can adjust the height of the blocks as you need so that your shoulders can relax and your breath, your neck, remember the passageway of breath, is open and energy is flowing through here. We're not closing off energy, we're opening up the passageways for breath and energy to flow. So here's a kneeling lunge. One posture, and it's called Anjane Asana. Anjane Asana. So though we're going to stay here for a few breaths, it's not stagnant. We want to get energy moving while we're here. So to do that, as we keep the hands down, make sure that your legs are as wide apart as your hips. So it doesn't feel like you're trying to balance on a tightrope. Your right foot is in line with the right hip. And Now keep your legs where they are, but imagine as if you're dragging your legs towards each other. So they're not visibly moving, but the energy is like, whoa, my pelvis just woke up. My inner thighs just woke up. The muscles in my legs just woke up, right? You can do that internally, that firing of these muscles. So a lot of yoga poses look like people are just being still and they're not doing anything. There is a lot happening if you're doing it appropriately, if you're actually practicing these different things. So you're isometrically scissoring the legs. So imagine you're dragging them towards each other. You should feel a little bit of rigor starting to happen. And the belly is actually activated here. So think of as if you're putting on some tight jeans and you're pulling in the belly so you can zipper up your tight jeans. So gently zipper in the lower belly and lift it up towards the heart. So zipper in and lift. Imagine lifting your pelvic floor at the same time. So even though my hands are down on blocks or on the floor, I'm not just resting my stomach on my thigh, right? That would be instead, I'm actively lifting the lower belly up towards the heart and in towards my back. As the pelvis descends, I'm lifting the frontal hip bones. There's a lot of contrasting actions that are happening internally to get energy flowing in the pose. So it's not just being still. All right, now, though we are going to be still, keep those actions happening internally, direct your gaze to stare at something just towards the tip of your nose. Something that's not distracting, where your neck can stay long, your shoulders can stay relaxed, because where you direct your eyes, your attention goes too. So instead of a busy mind looking at one thing after another, direct your eyes to one steady point as a way of directing steadiness in your mind. This is called drishti. Drishti means gaze, and it's an important part of the poses. Now, as you direct your gaze, let's listen to 3 more breaths in this pose as you isometrically scissor the legs and lift your lower belly towards the heart, relaxing your shoulders. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Now let's slide the right foot back, set the right knee down, put your hands and knees back onto the floor, come back to what's called tabletop pose, hands and knees on the ground, shoulders over wrists, knees a couple inches behind the hips. Imagine you're creating a flat back again. Activate the belly, keep the typewriter of your pelvis at the midline of your mat, and lift the left leg straight back. Right away, wake up the muscles in your left leg. So here's me just lifting the leg without waking up the muscles. It's like a noodle, right? Things are just kind of hanging there. Not that. Think of pushing into the back wall. And as I press towards the back wall with the left heel, my spine grows longer. There's a rebound effect. This is like that rooting to rise. Now feel your hands. Press the floor away. Lift energy up your arms and create space in your shoulder joints. Lengthen your neck. Lengthen your breath. Can you hear your breath? Now, if your balance feels pretty steady, this is optional. Start to raise your right arm forward like you're about to shake someone's hand in front of you. Keep looking down so we're not shortening the back of the neck. We're lengthening the back of the neck and the front of the neck. And let the shoulders slide away from the neck. How's the breath? So remember, drishti, or gaze, means to steady your eyes on one focal point as a way to help steady your attention. Let's steady the eyes just on the ground ahead for 3 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Keep lengthening the spine as you do this. Inhale. Exhale. Root down to rise. Inhale. Exhale. Set the right hand down. Inhale, press the left heel towards the rear wall. As you exhale, lift the left knee high towards your chin. Imagine you're going to kiss your knee. If you can kiss your knee, kiss your knee. That is some core work. And then step the left foot forward beside your left thumb. Now remember, if your foot didn't make it all the way forward, use your left hand, grab the leg, and slide the foot forward to make sure that your left knee lands right on top of your left heel, not bending past the heel like this. Remember, keep your knee joint safe in these lunges. And decide if it's helpful to put your hands on blocks so that the shoulders can relax and then passageway for your breath here at your neck stays open and free. Now, remember to have your legs as wide apart as your hips distance. Want to have a separate lane for each leg. And bring that energy as if you're scissoring the legs towards each other. So we're not just kind of here standing waiting at the grocery store. We're isometrically dragging the legs towards each other. We're lifting the pelvic floor. Imagine you're putting on some tight jeans, you're drawing the navel in and zippering up towards the heart. So the belly is not just dumping into my thigh, I'm pulling the belly up and off of my thigh as I'm energetically dragging the left foot back. Now, as that's happening, shoulders are relaxed, face is calm, gaze is steady. Choose your gaze. And let's focus again on the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And let's step the left knee back. All right, this time, please bring your legs out in front of you and just give them a little shake. You can circle out the feet or shake out the legs, shake out the arms as you need. Time goes quickly when we're really spending the time to break down poses. So here we are already. Don't want to cut us off short. So I do want to do a little bit of a physical cool down. We'll get into Shavasana, which is corpse pose. It's very important not to skip that. That is where we just completely lie in stillness without effort. And then we'll go into about a minute in our meditation practice afterwards. So let's come on down to our backs. Grab your strap or rope-like object. Come to lie down on your back. Step the ball of your right foot into the strap. If you're able to make a loop, if it's like an actual yoga strap, you're able to make a little loop the size of the ball of your foot can step into. You can do this. If not, you can just step into the middle of the strap like this. So hold the strap in your left hand and open your right arm out on the right side on the floor. Keep the right shoulder on the ground, scoot your pelvis another 4 or 5 inches closer to the right side of your mat, and then begin to twist to your left side. No problem. Thanks for coming, Anna. And so as you're twisting, slowly breathing, inhale, exhale. Now, if you feel that your right shoulder lifts away from the floor, you've gone too far. Then retrace your step, keep the right shoulder on the ground, and only go as far in your twist as the right shoulder stays on the ground. This is a way to just safely balance that you are aligning your body in a healthy way, but also stretching it, opening it up to some degree. And then let's come back to center. We'll switch legs. So bring your pelvis to the midline of your mat and step the ball of your left foot into the strap. This time, hold the strap in your right hand. Open your left arm out to the left. Ground your left shoulder and scoot your pelvis another 3 to 5 inches to the left edge of your mat. As you're breathing consciously, begin to twist to your right side, slowly crossing the left leg over your body to the right. Breathing in, breathing out. Let your breath soothe your mind. the sound of your breath. Keeping the left shoulder on the ground, one more breath. When you're ready, roll onto your back, remove the strap, draw your bent knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze, a genuine thank you hug for your practice. Take a deep breath in, squeezing tight, maybe close the eyes, hold the breath in. See if you could sip in a little more air. And then when you're ready, open the mouth, make any releasing sound, and then stretch your legs out on the floor. Turn your palms to face up by your sides and close your eyes. Let your body completely do nothing. So even let go of controlling your breath now. And for the next few minutes, gift yourself your full loving presence and the permission to do nothing. This is Shavasana, corpse pose. As you continue to rest here, keeping your body still, your eyes closed. Like we did at the start, please begin to scan the different parts of your physical body to notice how they're feeling now. Observe how you're feeling physically towards the end of your physical yoga practice. And then start to move very slowly, gently turning your head, perhaps, maybe wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. So taking your time to very gradually wake up your body, no rush. In fact, you want to move very slowly so that you're not disturbing your nervous system, which we've taken so much time to practice calming. Begin to bend your knees, slowly roll over onto your right side and rest with your head on your arm or somewhere comfortable. So now we're in a fetal position. We were in corpse pose, symbolizing death, a shedding of something from the past. And now we're in a fetal position, symbolizing birth, a renewal of something. So what are you renewing? Sense the quality of your natural breath here. Tune into the way you feel energetically now. Sense if anything feels different there. Then take your time to lift your body up slowly. Please find a comfortable way to sit for about a minute in meditation. You may like to elevate your pelvis on a pillow or a couple blocks. Sitting in a way that you can comfortably plant your two sitting bones, left and right, and lift tall to your spine, keeping the passageway for your breath open so energy flows easily. You may like to stack your palms face up in the center of your lap with your thumb tips touching. This is a more neutral gesture to invite neutrality of mind, calmness of mind. You can choose to close your eyes or steady a soft, gentle gaze on one focus point about eye level, close to you, on something that's not distracting. And so let's begin our meditation practice. I invite you to rest your awareness wherever in your body you can most sense the natural breath. Anytime your attention moves away from here, gently bring your attention back to the breath. Become aware of how you feel now mentally and emotionally. Notice the effects of meditation for you today. Knowing that all of these practices may affect you differently on a different moment. You might join your palms together at your heart center, allowing a moment to offer gratitude to the teachers before us, even 5,000 years ago in northern India where yoga began, to the teachers of today, to the teacher within, to life as a teacher. And with a heart of gratitude, invite you to remind yourself of your intention that you set for this practice. Remember to whom or what you chose to dedicate this practice. And together, let's close by joining our voices, chanting Om as a means of sending the benefits of this practice to all beings everywhere, including ourselves and each other, and beyond ourselves and each other. 3 Oms. Inhale deeply. Bow in towards the teacher within, the light within. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.